All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. Going to be breaking down really the first awesome week that we've had for DFS and for betting here. This is going to be the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It's the first full tournament field event that we've had, and it's also, far enough into the season where we are really reducing the variance for golfers that maybe haven't made that many starts. It should be a predictable week, and looking at it, guys, there is a lot of soft pricing, whether it be for DFS or for betting. I'm pretty excited about this week. Let's go ahead and get into it. Video, guys. So we are going to begin into a quick recap of last week. Then we're going to get into the tournament preview, what we need to know in terms of which players we are going to be targeting, really why we're targeting to have success this week. We'll get into the top plays, which will also be highlighting my favorite bets. We'll begin into the lineup process. I'll be showing you guys my first look build, and then we'll compare that against the 9 to 5 data to show you guys what the optimal build is going to be as well. So guys, just get into a quick recap from last week. Ended up being kind of a push week for DFS. I ended up being able to cash in my main build, mostly because I ended up on JT. I ended up forcing in JT, Cantlay, and Sam Burns into a build. Lee Hodges ended up being pretty nice, but if you guys saw Lee Hodges had a really good week going last week. Throughout the whole week, I mentioned I really thought his top 20 bet was a pretty easy bet given the number that we were getting 4-1. Seemingly going good. He was in my main lineup as well. He still provided enough DFS points that really created the biggest difference given his price. That really helped. But the quad was terrible. Just put it in play, and it's a much better week. It's crazy how one swing really changes the whole nature of your week. I mean, one swing leads to a quad there for Lee Hodges, taking him from potentially being able to make birdie on 18, if he puts in the fairway, to potentially, have a top 10, to making a quad and finishing like 30th. I mean, that was such a bad beat. Not as bad as the Max Gracerman one 2 weeks ago, where probably take down a GPP if he doesn't make a double bogey on 18 because he hits into the water. But this one was pretty brutal as well. And that was kind of the difference as well, betting wise. Ended up not really being the best betting week. But again, this week I'm kind of liking a little bit better than last week just in general. So we go ahead and get into the tournament preview for this week, guys. Just taking a quick peek at the weather daily wise, it should be pretty good to go for us. Like, we're not worried about the weather. That is a good thing here. We don't have to worry about wind or wind on a specific round, really changing who we would potentially be on. We look at the past few winners. We've had Nick Taylor win in a playoff last week against Charlie Hoffman. Both Nick Taylor and Charlie Hoffman are going to be two players that are kind of interesting at their prices. Scottie Scheffler is kind of priced up, but he's also not. One of the worst bad beats I've had outright-wise was when Brooks Koepka chipped in for eagle on hole 16. And I forget who I was on that week, but kind of annoying there. But we have it on Webb since then. You got Gary Woodland, a former winner here. Hideki, a former winner here. The thing is, players that do play well here tend to play well as well. Course history does, I think, matter a little bit more, but also we do see some random, if you're not playing well, like, you're not going to simply do well in this course simply because you have good course history. So we take a peek at the golfers that have the best course history. Scottie Scheffler is going to be one of those golfers. Okay, he's at 12K, and he's actually extremely easy to fit into our builds. I'll touch on that throughout this video. You got Justin Thomas as well, who, both of those two have multiple top 15 finishes. I don't know if we can fit both of them into our builds, but it might not be a terrible option. Like, there's such soft pricing where you could make that work. Hideki also has good course history here, obviously a 2-time winner, but has consistently made the cut here as well. He's someone we could be looking at. And then from there, Sanjay, a little bit hit or miss. Sam Burns, a little bit hit or miss. Corey Connors has good course history. Tom Kim, Tagala has good course history. This was kind of his coming out party 3 years ago, where you had Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay kind of handing over and letting Scottie Scheffler really have his breakup. But don't forget, like, that was kind of the breakout party for Tagala as well. That kind of made him a big name player in the PGA. Jordan Spieth, relatively good results here when he's on, but that's kind of Jordan Spieth. Like, when he's on, you can get a top 10 finish. When he's off, you might miss the cut. That's just the nature of him. Nick Taylor as well, like, kind of random course history right here with Nick Taylor. Winner, second, terrible results after that. I mean, it's kind of a weird week in that regard, where if you're not on your game, you're not going to play well. Now, again, the nice part about this week in this tournament is that we have seen this course played enough. We know which key stats to look at, and we know which ones have led to success for us in the past. Now, look at these top stat fits, though. It is still early on in the season for some of the stats that we're looking at, so it is a little bit skewed there. But like Bud Colley popping up, Gary Woodland popping up in there, Lucas Glover, who I do really like, and Seb Straka, who I do really like, but kind of interesting there. But the key stats that we're looking at, it is kind of a driving and distance course. So total driving, ball striking for sure. Good drive percentage we're looking at, and birdie to bogey ratio as well. You can't be like making too many mistakes, but you also have to be taking advantage of the scoring holes as well. There's lots of risk reward holes where, again, if you're not on your game, you're not going to do well. But if you're on your game, you're going to convert on those birdie opportunities. So that's where total driving is huge, but more of a focus on the accuracy portion. And then same thing with ball striking. Like, yes, obviously strokes gain approach is always key, but we also need to be focusing a little bit on that distance as well. So those are the key stats that we're looking at, but we're also going to be paying attention to strokes gained around the green. That's going to be key stat number 5. I know it's not pulled up here, but that's also what we're looking at there as well. So the top stat fits, it is kind of crazy. Seb Straka, Bud Colley, who's an interesting click, Gary Woodland, who has had success here, Hogard, who played well last week, Lucas Glover, who I think we're getting to, Charlie Hoffman, second place finisher last year, playoff lost last year. I think he's an interesting click. You got Alex Smalley, Sam Burns, then we're getting to Scottie. Okay, so we're starting to get into some of those better plays. Lee Hodges, I think we can go back to him this week as well. Then we jump into the golfers that had the best recent form. Now with Scottie Scheffler, yes, it is a little bit skewed because recent form is kind of just one event for him. That was last week. He ended up finishing top 10. He didn't pay off his price tag. Actually, Justin Thomas, who finished like 40 spots worse than him, almost finished 2 points less than him DFS-wise, which is kind of crazy. But those are two of the players that had the best recent form. You got Sam Burns in there, been playing great golf. Obviously, Harry Hall's in there. Sungjae Im, he's been a little bit hit or miss. The 1 week I'm still tilted about that. We were really on him. Missed the cut. Other than that, has been pretty solid. Okay, go a little bit lower. Maverick McNeely, been pretty good as well. Seb Straka I do really like. Robert McIntyre's been playing good golf. Hideki's been playing good golf, minus maybe injury concerns with him. Billy Horschel, he's coming in off of a victory 5 events ago, kind of had lackluster results in his next 2 starts, and then we have seen him finish 21st and 9th. I actually really like Billy Horschel this week. Like at Bo Hosler last week was definitely a disappointment. Besides that, has been pretty solid. So we have a lot of golfers that have been playing pretty well. Do you want to call it Max Grayson? 15 straight made cuts minus the withdrawal last week. What's he going to be like this week? And same thing with Charlie Hoffman. Charlie Hoffman withdrew from the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am before the event last week. Not really sure why that is. If you guys saw an injury, let us know in the comment section below. Then lastly, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump on into the specialist here. I don't exactly like calling it course fit because we want to be looking at the key stats as well, but these are kind of the unique data points. A lot of people like to use these just for content purposes, just fun facts, if you will. But I do think it can be useful. I just don't think we want to overplay it too much. So collectively looking at it, we can look at like location, type greens, speed of greens, course style, event style, all that stuff we're looking at here. But the top specialists are typically players that are not shocking. So we got Scottie, Hideki, Corey Connors, maybe McCarty, a little bit surprising there. JT, Tagala, Sam Burns, Billy Horschel. So really not shocking there. And so then, guys, we go ahead and get into the top plays. So there really isn't a difference between how the 9to5 data is viewing this and how DraftKings is viewing who the top plays are. It's going to be Scottie Scheffler, JT, Sam Burns, and Hideki, all straight in order there. And you can go down to Sungjae Im as well. So basically all the top 5 plays, 9 to 5 days of green with DraftKings. So not that big of edges there. But I could argue that Scottie Scheffler actually could have been a little bit higher price because due to the low pricing that we have, he's soft pricing that we have, he's pretty easy to fit in. I do want to talk about him outright wise though, because the outright strategy with Scottie Scheffler this week is it's going to be either you're betting on Scottie Scheffler only, and that's the only outright bet because he is such a good play and because he's expected to play so well, or you're going to be chasing some of those longer odds that we have because we are getting some pretty good numbers on some golfers we shouldn't be getting those numbers on. So either you're making one bet and that's Scottie, or you're probably making 7 other bets that do not include Scottie. Now, if you want to do the without Scottie market, which I'm pretty sure some sites will have available, you can do that there as well. Now with Scottie as well, you could potentially just do first round lead and win. That could potentially be a unique way to go about attacking him as well. After that, we're looking at Justin Thomas. Like if you wanted to go with Justin Thomas, you certainly could. He was definitely a letdown last week, but again, he did score enough. He just made a lot of double bogeys and a lot of eagles, so it kind of made up for it. It was a strange week. If he clears that up, though, it's really not shocking. He's a streaky golfer. Like it wouldn't be shocking to see him have a good week here. Tremendous course history. Stat fit is okay. Like he's popping in birdie to bogey ratio, and he's also popping in good drive percentage, which is a little surprising. Not that good in total driving and ball striking. So he's going to need to improve there. Outright wise, I don't know. You could get there 12-1. Like I don't mind it, but like choosing between him or Hideki like feels like a toss up. The play that I like the most next is actually going to be Sam Burns. And that's just because Sam Burns has been playing just really well lately, and we have seen multiple starts out of him thus far this season now. So at the STOC, top 10, American Express, top 30, not that good, but not terrible. Last week, finishes 22nd. Again, not that good, but not terrible as well. We would take that this week, and as pricing, we could certainly fit him. If you're doing a fair and balanced build, you can get there as well. So he's the top 8 stat fit as well. Pops in really all the stats, really good in birdie to bogey ratio, good drive percentage in the field, pretty good there, and not bad in total driving and ball striking as well. Course history has been pretty darn good, especially the last 2 years, with 2 top 10 finishes here in the last 2 years. So if you're skipping out on Scottie, I'm probably just going to be ending up on him. And then from there, I want to jump down to Seb Straka. Okay, Seb Straka, given the price that he has, I would argue he's a little bit too low priced. Now, the one concern with him is going to be the fact that he has terrible course history here, 66 and miscut. That is terrible, okay? But a very key point is that he simply does have course history. Like, that does add up. And given the form that he is and given the stat fit that he is certainly going to be intriguing. And given the fact that he was in contention again last week, after winning in his event 2 events ago, that to me is low-key huge. And if you wanted to bet him at like 40-1, those are some pretty good odds. And so I don't mind that idea. Again, if you're not betting on Scottie, I think that's a pretty good odds bet there. 41 for Seb Straka, who's in the 7th best form in the field, best F in the field, has terrible course history. But like we saw with Rory, maybe that doesn't matter all too much last week. And now, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump down into the mid-tier. And really, I don't think we need to be getting to that many players here because the pricing is... I get why a lot of these golfers are priced this way, but a lot of them are priced this way mostly due to name value. We can get, honestly, probably better options or just as good of options much cheaper than this. Nick Taylor certainly does stick out, though, because he has been playing good golf. And he is a decent stat fit. Top 15 stat fit, top 30 in recent form. Obviously, pretty good starts in his last 2 starts. Good course history here as well. It wouldn't be shocking to see him go out and have a good week this week, but I don't think we need to force that. And then I guess we could get to Siwoo Kim. He is a player that when he has good course history, he does tend to play those courses well. Not the best form for him, though, and it feels like we'd be forcing it. Again, we're getting better options a little bit lower, so let's go ahead and get down into the low tier. And so we can take a peek at someone like Harry Hall, who does have course experience here, finishing 41st at this event as well. We look at his results thus far this season, 58th last week. That is terrible. We hate that, right? That's really bad in a no-cut event with not that many players. But other than that, has been playing pretty well. This is going to be a course that fits his game a little bit better, but the concern is going to be his total driving is ass. I mean, it's bad, guys. Like 100th on the PGA Tour, just ranks out terribly here. And then course history, he finished 41st here, so he has played this course, played it fine. That play I'm fine with. Like, it is soft enough to the point where we can get to him. Matt Fitzpatrick is definitely an interesting click as well. 9 straight make cuts. Didn't exactly play well last week. 48th place finish. Has really good course history here. It wouldn't be shocking to see him play well. But the play that I want to get to the most, and is probably going to be one of my favorite outright bets, or is my favorite outright bet, given the odds that we're getting on him, it's insane that we're getting Billy Horschel at 80-1 odds. So first and foremost, he has won recently as well. Sure, it was a DP Tour event. I know we don't really care about that, but it's noteworthy. He is someone that when he's in contention, he's going to grind out shots and putts and everything. And we kind of saw that last week, guys, where he finished 9th. He had so many like 10-foot putts that he converted. And he is someone that when he's in contention, like, he's firing on all cylinders there. Okay, so the issue with that for DFS purposes is that he could blow up and miss the cut. That could end up being a concern for us. And he's not a great stat fit, only 34th in the field. Although, again, like, when he is on, he is on. And he has tremendous course history here, guys. 4 straight make cuts at this event with a top 10 finish. Overall, in the 9 to 5 mile, ranks out 6th. And so, typically speaking, I'm betting golfers that are top 7 or better in the 9 to 5 model in a full tournament field event. We can get him at 80-1. I mean, this pricing is strange. I honestly thought he'd be like $9K. I thought he would be like just as much as Benny Ann, Robert McIntyre. Even Kirk, I kind of get Kirk Young, like all those golfers. Wyndham Clark, like, it's strange that he is this cheap. I don't really get it. Is he injured or something? Like, is there something we're not knowing with him? That's strange. And then we look at someone like Sam Stevens. Sam Stevens feels like an extremely safe play this week, guys. Top 18 in the model as a whole, top 16 in the 9 to 5 model. He's kind of just checking all the boxes, and he is someone at 80-1. I'm happy to bet on as well. 90-1 on some of those offshore sites like Bet Online, Bet365, Unibet. So if you guys are someone that, does those sports books where basically the payout process is much more difficult, great odds, 90-1 there. He has made a start at this event, finishing 28th. Good form, solid stat fit. Checking all the boxes. I'm happy to bet him, and I think he's going to be an easy click for us as well. He had a pretty solid week last week. Played with Taylor Pendrith and Scottie Scheffler. Played on Saturday and Sunday. Played the same as them on Saturday, and then on Sunday didn't have enough left in the tank. Finished, I think, +1 on Sunday. I don't really care about that. I like seeing that he had a good week, and this is going to be a much better course fit for him. Andrew Novak is an interesting click, not a great stat fit, but he has shown upside recently, guys. Okay, and top 10 finish at this event last year. Then we look at someone like Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover, again, I don't really get the pricing. Like, I know he's coming in off a miscut. He actually burned me in that miscut 2 events ago. That's the biggest concern with him. Had he simply made the cut here, I think he would be at least 1,400 more expensive, like, because then his form would be tremendous. But he finished third last week. Okay, he bounced back from that really bad opening round that he had in the previous event. What was that, the American Express? So yeah, just had a terrible opening round, couldn't come back from that. But besides that, really good starts from him. He's going to be a good stat fit, top 5 staff in the field. Does have course history, which is pretty darn good course history. I don't really get it, guys. Like, and we can get him as well at 90-1. Like, what is going on there? Getting him at 90-1 is insane. Like, he's, it's pretty simple week, just given the cheapos that we have. Now, Tom Hoagie, I think, is a great play. Relatively decent course history. He has been playing pretty solid. I like him as well. But let's go ahead and jump down into the values. So let's get into Bud Cauley, who, strangely enough, is really good staff. His second best staff in the field, really popping there. Good drive percentage, good in birdie bogey ratio, solid in total driving and ball striking. Form has been pretty darn good. Now, we haven't seen him that much this season, only at the Sony Open where he finished 30th. So not terrible results there. Played this event last year, 65th finish there. But at this price tag, certainly within the round, like, certainly a guy that gives us a good chance at a made cut at a cheap price tag. I do think we need to call out Jake Knapp as well, who is a local resident here as well for this tournament, and played well at this event last year, finishing top 30. Form is, I mean, it's bad. He's not a good stat fit, but the last 2 weeks, okay. You know, top 40 finishes there. If having that course experience and kind of that local knowledge is enough for him to make the cut, I'm happy to get to him. I don't think we should be expecting anything more with him. The issue with plays like this is that once the public kind of knows that, it just puts a little bit more added pressure onto them, I think, where we tend to either see them really go off and finish top 10 and everyone's like, oh, that was a no-brainer, or it's the exact opposite where they just are blowing up and just not playing well because there's a little bit too much added pressure to play well on a course that you should be playing well on. And then another player that someone fits that mold as well is Andrew Putnam, who lives in Phoenix, Arizona. I know it's not the same, but still, I think it's noteworthy. He has played this course 4 straight years, only 1 good start though at this course. He is someone that I do think will give us a decent chance at a made cut, or be right around a make cut, and he's super cheap, so we get that there as well. And then I do think the pricing that we're getting here on Lee Hodges is a strange one. Okay, top 10 stat fit, top 20 in recent form as well. Not good course history, and maybe that's why he's this cheap. I know he's not below 7K, but he is like 100-1. Okay, so that's kind of why I'm pulling him up here. Again, I don't know if we need to get there, but if you want to bet him again to top 20, hopefully he doesn't make it quad on freaking 18 to not do that. Like a simple double there, guys, right? But honestly, like, just great form and has course experience, like, not that difficult to see him as a decent option, minus the poor course history. And so with that, guys, we are going to go ahead and get into the core plays here. But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't done so before. Leave a like to the video as well. If you guys want access to the cheat sheet that you just saw, make sure to head on over to 95sports.com, get access to all the tools for fantasy golf available for just $10 a month. Best value out there. Take advantage of that. Jumping on into core play number 1. You guys probably could have guessed it. It's going to be Scottie Scheffler. Okay, so again, he's going to be super easy to fit into our DFS builds, and that's just the simple and easy point, is that because he is honestly not priced up enough, we can fit him into our builds given the other soft pricing that's out there. So to me, he's just an easy click. Now, yes, if he doesn't finish top 5, he's not going to pay off his price tag, but given his course history, given the fact that we didn't see any sign of the injury hurting him at all last week, he should be good to go. And I can play him with confidence, knowing that we're getting the traditional Scottie Scheffler back. And then to me, core play number 2 is going to be Sam Stevens. Okay, Sam Stevens is just a player that's checking all the boxes, has been playing extremely well thus far this season. Again, the pricing is a little bit strange on him, does have course history here. Pretty solid stuff. And recent form has been great. Okay, course history 28th at this event. I just updated that graphic. Apologies for that. But overall, like, I think we can expect a top 15, top 20 finish out of him. He's a top 15 staff hit. Form has been spectacular. And again, you can get him at like 90-1 on those offshore books, or 80-1. Pretty good odds there. From there, Sam Burns. So if you're not paying up for Scottie Scheffler, if you don't think he's an outright bet that you want to be on this week, I'm kind of okay with that, but you just be getting to Sam Burns then instead. So he has had a 3rd and 6th place finish at this event here the last 2 years, miscut, and then a top 25 finish. Recent form has been solid, especially You know, at the start of the season with that top 10 finish, not as good the last couple of weeks, but still not terrible. Not too worried about that. Top 10 staff hit, projected finish of top 10. You can get him at 28-1 on DraftKings. And then Billy Horschel, yeah. Using his stupid Dirty Bird dance video from, or picture from TGL. Just that was cringy. Anyways, really good course history, guys. So 41st, 32nd, 6th, and 53rd. So to me, with Billy Horschel, it's like some weeks he's on and can give us that top 10 finish like we saw him get here at this event 3 years ago, or he can grind out a made cut. We saw him finish top 10 last week. Okay, form has been getting better. And if we go start back further, we saw a victory out of him. So that was on the DP tour, but still like to see that. He's not a good stat fit, okay, because he started off a little bit poor, but still top 40, and he's top 20 in terms of projection. But I think he's some that, if he gets hot, can go out and win for us. So even if you were just to play those core plays, you could end up making this work with some of the cheap values that are out there. Now, I don't know if we exactly need to get there. Maybe we get off of Sam Burns and we get into an obvious play as well, like Lucas Glover. I almost made another slide to add in him as a core play, because he's that good of a play there at his price tag. And then we have 7.7 left over still. Like, that is how crazy this week is. Okay, guys, we have so many good plays. If we want to go back to Lee Hodges, we could do that. And then we have 8.3 left over. Now, the issue with 8.3 is I don't really like any of these plays. Again, if they all feel a little bit too high priced, now maybe they have a little bit more upside, but the downside is just as much there. Okay, a play that I really like is actually Charlie Hoffman at his price tag. Okay, Charlie Hoffman, good course history, played his last few events very well. We just have to worry about why he withdrew from the AT&T Public Beach Pro-Am. And so could we go up from Lee Hodges? We could, but then we still have that same problem. So it is kind of difficult there. I'm very interested to see what the 9-to-5 data is going to tell us here. So let's go ahead and take a peek at that. So we go ahead and pull up the 9-to-5 lineup builder. I'm just going to adjust one projection for 2 golfers, the top 2 here, just to bump it a little bit higher. We need to give it 2 data points to go off of. We're going to click generate here and see what it is spitting out to us. And so let's take a peek. Okay, so JT, Matt Fitzpatrick, Sam Stevens, Billy Horschel, Lucas Glover, and Matt Fitzpatrick. I'm fine with Matt Fitzpatrick. I view him more as a shoulder shrug play where if I'm closing out my builds, we can get there. Hogard, I'm fine with as well. I don't think I want to be on that much, but I also don't want to be on Corey Connors too much as well. But you guys get the general sense of what we're looking at here. Now, guys, that's going to do it for this video. But again, if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Clearly the best value out there for fantasy golf. I'll offer you all the best tools at the best price possible. Okay, take advantage of that, guys. $10 a month. Head on over to the pricings and plans tab. If you guys ever wonder what goes into it, you can head on over to the 9to5 membership page, get more information on that. All the fantasy golf tools here, including that is also going to be prop tools for Prize Picks and Underdog. All right, that's all, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck with all your builds. And as always, let's keep cashing.